The alarm bells had been silent for 3 days now, but Dr. Yuna Kim still felt her heart race every time she walked past Containment Bay 7. Through the thick metal door, something waited. Something that had already killed 2 probe droids and melted through 3 layers of protective plating before they finally got it locked away. The research station floating in orbit around Kepler 442b had seen many strange things over the years. Alien plants that sang in harmonics only machines could hear, crystals that grew into perfect mathematical shapes, even a species of space-dwelling jellyfish that fed on solar radiation, but nothing like this. Yuna pressed her palm against the security scanner and stepped into the observation room. The walls here were lined with monitors showing every angle of the containment cell next door. Temperature readings, air quality measurements, radiation levels, biological activity sensors. All of them painted the same picture. The thing inside was dangerous. Commander Ji-won Park stood with his back to her, watching the main display screen. His reflection in the glass showed the same worried expression he had worn for days. Behind him, 3 other researchers from different species sat at their workstations, keeping careful watch over their prisoner. "Any changes?" Yuna asked, though she already knew the answer. "Nothing good," Ji-won replied without turning around. The toxic readings spiked again around feeding time. Dr. Kang tried to send in another analysis probe this morning. It lasted 47 seconds before the acid dissolved its outer casing. On the screen, the creature moved in the shadows of its cell. It was hard to make out exact details through the protective barriers, but Yuna could see the basic shape. Roughly 2 meters tall, covered in what looked like green-black armor plating. Multiple appendages that writhed and twisted like angry snakes. Patches along its body that glowed with an eerie blue-green light. "The Altarian Science Council wants a full report by tomorrow," Ji-won continued. "They are already talking about moving it to a military facility, maybe using it as a weapon." Yuna felt her stomach turn. She had gone into xenobiology to study and to understand alien life, not to help turn it into tools for war. But she also understood the fear. 3 days ago, their long-range sensors had picked up an unknown object drifting through space. When they brought it aboard for study, it seemed dead. Just another piece of space debris with some interesting biological components. Then it had woken up. The first anyone knew about it was when the quarantine lab's emergency systems started screaming. By the time security arrived, the thing had broken out of its sample container and was trying to claw its way through the outer hull. The emergency containment protocols had kicked in just in time, flooding the lab with knockout gas and sealing it inside. That had been the easy part. "Look at how it moves," said Dr. Sun-Ho Lee from his station near the back wall. The young researcher specialized in alien behavior patterns, and he had been watching the creature non-stop since they caught it. "See how it keeps going to that corner? And the way its appendages sweep back and forth?" Yuna looked closer. The creature was indeed staying mostly in one corner of its cell, as far from the door as possible. Its tentacle-like arms moved in slow, repetitive patterns. She had assumed it was testing the walls for weaknesses, but now she wondered if there might be another explanation. Could it be trying to communicate? She asked. With what? Ji-won turned around for the first time since she had entered. Every time we send anything near it, the thing destroys it. We tried audio communication, light signals, even mathematical sequences. Nothing. It just sits there and leaks poison into the air. The spores are definitely toxic, added Dr. Minho Seo from the chemistry station. I have never seen anything like them. They break down organic materials at the molecular level. Even our best protective suits only last a few hours in that environment. Yuna nodded, but something bothered her about the whole situation. In her years of studying alien life, she had learned that most aggressive behaviors had reasons behind them. Territorial defense, protection of young, competition for resources. This creature was alone, trapped, with no territory to defend and no resources to compete for. So why was it still producing toxins? Maybe it cannot help it, she said out loud. Maybe the toxic release is not voluntary. The others looked at her with expressions ranging from doubt to concern. Ji-won crossed his arms. You think it is just accidentally poisoning everything around it? I think we might be looking at this wrong, Yuna replied. What if the toxins are not a weapon? What if they are something else? Before anyone could respond, the door to the observation room slid open. A human walked in, carrying a toolbox and wearing the standard maintenance uniform. Yuna recognized him as one of the newer staff members, transferred from the outer colonies a few weeks ago. Sorry. To interrupt, the human said. I need to check the air filtration systems in here. The computer is showing some unusual readings. Of course it is, Ji-won muttered. That thing is probably poisoning the entire station by now. The human, whose name tag read Hyun-woo, set down his toolbox and pulled out a handheld scanner. As he worked, his eyes kept drifting to the main display screen. What is that? He asked after a moment. Biohazard containment, Sunho answered. Class X alien organism. Extremely dangerous. Hyun-woo moved closer to the screen, studying the image of the creature in its cell. His expression was different from the others, Yuna noticed. Where they showed fear and caution, the human looked almost curious. Huh, Hyun-woo said softly. Poor thing looks scared. The entire room went silent. Yuna felt her breath catch in her throat. Scared? She looked back at the screen, trying to see what the human was seeing. The creature was still in its corner, tentacles moving in those same slow patterns. Scared? Ji-won repeated, his voice tight with disbelief. That thing nearly broke through the hull of our ship. It has killed every piece of equipment we have. Sent near it. Yeah, but look at it, Hyun-woo said, pointing at the screen. It is not trying to break out anymore. It is hiding in the corner. And those movements, they are not aggressive. They look more like, I do not know, pacing maybe, like when an animal is stressed. Yuna felt something shift in her understanding. She had been so focused on the creature's dangerous capabilities that she had not considered its emotional state. But now that the human mentioned it, the behavior patterns did look familiar. She had seen similar movements in caged animals back on her homeworld. That is ridiculous, Minho said from his station. You cannot apply mammalian behavior patterns to an unknown alien organism. Maybe not, Hyun-woo agreed, still watching the screen. But scared animals lash out when they feel threatened, and if you keep them afraid long enough, they never stop, producing stress chemicals. He finished his work on the filtration system and packed up his tools. But before leaving, he took one more look at the creature on the screen, just saying, it might calm down if it did not feel like it was going to be attacked all the time. After the human left, the observation room remained quiet for several minutes. Yuna found herself staring at the creature with new eyes, trying to see what Hyun-woo had seen. Could they have been wrong about everything? Run a behavioral analysis, she said suddenly. Compare the creature's movement patterns to known stress responses in captured animals. Yuna, Ji-won warned, we cannot afford to take chances with this thing. I am not suggesting we take chances, she replied. But if there is even a possibility that we have misunderstood the situation, we need to know. The Altarian Science Council is going to make decisions about this creature based on our reports. I want to make sure those decisions are based on accurate information. As the night shift began their watch, Yuna remained in the observation room, studying the creature that had everyone so frightened. For the first time since it had arrived, she began to wonder if the real danger was not what the creature might do to them, but what they might do to it based on their fear. In its corner, the alien being continued its slow, repetitive movements, unaware that one human's moment of empathy might have just changed its fate. Dr. Taemin Choi had been watching the security feeds for 6 hours straight, and what he saw made no sense. As the station's chief psychologist, he understood fear responses better than most. Every species reacted differently to perceived threats, but the patterns were usually predictable. The Altarian researchers showed elevated stress hormones and increased distance from Containment Bay 7. The Zentari crew members displayed typical defensive behaviors, clustering together and avoiding the area entirely. Even the normally brave Corvan security officers moved with obvious caution when their duties required them to patrol near the containment zone. All perfectly normal responses to a Class X biohazard, except for one human maintenance worker who seemed completely unbothered by the deadly creature just meters away. Taemin switched between camera angles, watching as Hyun-woo completed his daily rounds. The human had requested permission to check all the systems near Containment Bay 7, claiming the creature's toxic emissions might be affecting the station's air recycling equipment. Commander Park had approved the request reluctantly, but only because their environmental systems were showing unusual readings. What bothered Taemin was not that Hyun-woo was doing his job. It was how he was doing it. While other crew members hurried past the containment area as quickly as possible, the human worked at his normal pace. He hummed quietly to himself as he ran diagnostics on the air filtration panels. When alarms sounded from other parts of the station, he did not jump or look around nervously like the others did. Most disturbing of all, Hyun-woo had started talking to the creature. "Good morning," the human said as he approached the observation window that morning. "Hope you slept better than I did. The heating system in my quarters is making weird noises again." Taemin watched the audio readings spike as Hyun-woo spoke. Inside its containment cell, the creature's bioluminescent patches flickered in what appeared to be a response pattern. The toxic spore production actually decreased slightly during these one-sided conversations. "This is highly irregular, Doctor," Yuna Kim said from behind Taemin. She had been reviewing his behavioral reports for the past week, trying to understand why the human crew member was not following normal safety protocols. "It gets worse," Taemin replied, switching to yesterday's recordings. "Watch this." On screen, Hyun-woo could be seen pulling something from his pocket, a piece of fruit from the hydroponics bay. He held it up to the observation window for several seconds, then placed it in the small transfer chamber that had been designed for sample collection. "He is feeding it," Yuna said, her voice tight with concern. "Against direct orders," Taemin confirmed. Commander Park specifically prohibited any unauthorized interaction with the specimen. They watched as the containment system's robotic arms moved the fruit into the creature's cell. The alien being approached slowly, its tentacle appendages reaching out to examine the offering. Instead of immediately consuming it or destroying it like it did with the standard nutrient paste they had been providing, the creature spent several minutes investigating the fruit. Then it ate it carefully, almost delicately. The toxic readings dropped by 12% during that feeding, Taemin noted, checking his data. "And look at this." He switched to a thermal imaging view. The creature's body temperature had stabilized, and the aggressive movement patterns had become more subdued. Its positioning in the cell had also changed. Instead of staying pressed into the far corner, it had moved closer to the center of the space. The human is affecting its behavior, Yuna realized. But how? Before Taemin could answer, the observation room door opened and Commander Park walked in, followed by Dr. Sun-Ho Lee and 2 security officers. The commander's expression was grim. "We have a problem," Park announced. "Hyun-woo has been seen leaving unauthorized materials near the containment area. Dr. Minho found fabric scraps in the transfer chamber this morning." "Fabric scraps?" Yuna asked. "Pieces of soft material from the textile recycler," Sun-Ho explained. "Blankets, towels, things like that. The human has been providing them to the creature for the past 3 days. Taemin called up the latest footage. Sure enough, the creature had arranged the fabric pieces in one corner of its cell, creating what looked almost like a nest. The alien being could be seen resting on the soft materials, its tentacles wrapped around itself in what appeared to be a comfort position. "This has to stop," Park declared. We cannot have crew members making unauthorized contact with a potentially lethal organism. The safety protocols exist for a reason. Wait, Taman said, studying the data more carefully. Commander, you need to see this. He projected a series of graphs onto the main display. Toxic spore levels, aggressive behavior incidents, and stress indicators all showed the same pattern. A steady decline over the past week. The creature is becoming less dangerous, Taman explained. Every day since Hyun-woo started his interactions, the threat level has dropped. The toxic emissions are down 40% from when we first captured it. That could be coincidence, Park argued. Maybe it is just getting weaker in captivity. No, sir, Dr. Min-ho Seo's voice came through the communication system. The chemist had been monitoring the creature's biological functions from his lab. If anything, the organism appears to be getting healthier. Its cellular activity has increased, and the chemical composition of its emissions has changed. Changed how? Yuna asked. The toxic compounds are breaking down into harmless byproducts, Min-ho explained. It is as if the creature is learning to control its defensive mechanisms. Commander Park frowned at the displays, clearly struggling with the implications. Are you telling me that feeding it fruit and giving it blankets has somehow made this thing less likely to kill us all? That appears to be exactly what happened, Taman confirmed. But I think there is more to it than just the food and comfort items. He switched to a video feed showing Hyun-woo's most recent visit to the observation area. The human was cleaning the outside of the observation window, working with steady, calm movements. As he worked, he continued his habit of talking to the creature. The environmental controls are working better now, Hyun-woo was saying. Your air should be fresher. I also adjusted the lighting system to be less harsh. Those bright laboratory lights probably hurt your eyes. Inside its cell, the creature had moved to the window. Its tentacles were pressed against the glass from the other side, almost as if it was trying to touch the human's hand as he cleaned the surface. The organism is responding to social interaction, Taman realized out loud. It is not just the food or the comfortable materials. It is responding to being treated as a living being rather than a specimen. That is impossible, Sunho protested. We do not even know if it has the cognitive capacity for social behavior. Look at the evidence, Yuna said quietly. She had been studying the creature for weeks, and the change was undeniable. Its behavior patterns have completely shifted. The aggressive displays have stopped. The toxic production is under control. It is even maintaining better hygiene. On screen, they could see that the creature's cell was much cleaner than it had been. The alien being had arranged its space carefully, keeping the eating area separate from the resting area and disposing of waste in the designated removal system. This is not random animal behavior, Taman continued. This shows planning, organization, and consideration for its environment. The human recognized something we all missed. Commander Park was quiet for a long moment, watching the display as Hyun-woo finished his work and prepared to leave. Before going, the human placed his hand flat against the observation window. The creature immediately moved its tentacle to the same spot on the other side of the glass. Sir, came Hyun-woo's voice over the communication system. Permission to speak with the research team? Park looked around the room at the gathered scientists, then activated the reply channel. Permission granted. Come to Observation Room Alpha. 5. Minutes later, Hyun-woo entered carrying a datapad and looking slightly nervous. He glanced around at all the senior staff members before speaking. I know I have been breaking protocols, he began, but I think you have been approaching this all wrong. Explain, Park said simply. This thing is not a weapon or a monster, Hyun-woo said. It is scared, alone, and probably confused about where it is. Everything you have done since catching, it has made it feel more threatened. The sterile environment, the harsh lights, the mechanical feeding systems, the constant monitoring. He activated his datapad and showed them his own observations. charts tracking the creature's behavior patterns, notes about its responses to different stimuli, even sketches of its body language during various interactions. When I started treating it like a living being instead of a dangerous object, it started acting like one, Hyun-woo continued. It is not producing toxins because it wants to hurt anyone. It is producing them because it is terrified. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Finally, Yuna spoke up. What do you think we should do? Hyun-woo looked directly at Commander Park. Let me try to communicate with it properly, not through machines or barriers, but as one intelligent being to another. I think it has been trying to talk to us this whole time. We just have not been listening. Dr. Minju Seo had spent her entire career studying alien languages. She had decoded the mathematical song patterns of the crystalline collective, learned the scent-based communication of the thermal worms, and even managed to establish basic dialogue with the energy beings from the Vega system. But nothing had prepared her for the challenge waiting in Containment Bay 7. The creature has been trying to communicate this entire time, Hyun-woo explained as he led her toward the observation room. I started noticing patterns 3 days ago, different colors for different situations. Minju followed the human maintenance worker, her translation equipment weighing heavily in her hands. Commander Park had given her permission to study the creature's potential communication methods, but only after hours of heated debate. The other senior staff members remained convinced that any attempt at communication was dangerous. What kind of patterns? She asked as they entered the observation area. Hyun-woo activated the main display screen, showing the creature in its containment cell. The alien being was resting on the fabric nest it had created, its bioluminescent patches glowing with a soft blue light. Watch this, Hyun-woo said. He moved to the communication panel and tapped 3 times on the metal surface. Immediately, the creature's body lit up with 3 distinct orange flashes. It responds to sound, Minju realized, already making notes on her datapad. Not just sound, watch. Hyun-woo moved to the observation window and waved his hand 3 times. Again, 3 orange flashes from the creature. And it gets better, Hyun-woo continued. Different colors seem to mean different things. Blue when it is calm, yellow when I approach, red when the feeding machines come online. Minju set up her translation equipment, connecting it to the station's main computer system. Her devices had been designed to analyze sound-based languages, but she quickly began reprogramming them to recognize light patterns instead. The Altarian Science Council will want proof of intelligence before they approve any communication protocols, she said as she worked. We need to establish that these light displays are actually language, not just reflexive responses. How? Do we do that? Hyun-woo asked. Complex grammar structures? Abstract concepts? The ability to discuss things that are not immediately present. Minju finished her setup and activated the recording systems. If this creature is truly intelligent, it should be able to do all of those things. Over the next several hours, they worked together to document the creature's responses. Hyun-woo would perform various actions or show different objects, while Minju recorded the corresponding light patterns. Slowly, a basic vocabulary began to emerge. 3 blue flashes seemed to indicate agreement or positive acknowledgement. Yellow. Pulses appeared to be questions or requests for attention. Red strobing suggested distress or discomfort. Orange patterns were responses to direct communication attempts. This is remarkable, Minju said as she reviewed the data. The patterns are too complex and consistent to be random. This is definitely a form of language. Can you translate it? Hyun-woo asked. Basic concepts, yes. But we need more data to understand grammar and sentence structure. She paused, studying a particularly complex sequence the creature had displayed earlier. There is something else. The patterns are not just visual. Look at this. She showed him a spectrographic analysis of the creature's light displays. The bioluminescent patches were not just changing color. They were also modulating intensity and frequency in precise patterns. "It is like the creature is speaking in multiple languages at once," Minju explained. "Color for basic meaning, intensity for emotional context, and frequency for grammatical structure." As they worked, other crew members began gathering in the observation room. Dr. Yuna Kim arrived first, followed by Dr. Taemin Choi and several junior researchers. Even Commander Park eventually joined them, though he maintained his skeptical expression. "Show them what we discovered," Hyun-woo urged. Minju activated the main display and began demonstrating their findings. She had programmed the computer to provide rough translations of the simpler light patterns. When Hyun-woo approaches the window, the creature displays yellow pulses that translate roughly to "friend comes" or "good being approaches," she explained. When he brings food, we see blue and green patterns that seem to mean gratitude and sustenance. That could still be trained responses, Dr. Sun-Ho Lee pointed out from his position near the back. Many non-intelligent species can learn to associate specific stimuli with rewards. "Then explain this," Minju said. She activated a recording from earlier that day. On screen, the creature could be seen creating a complex light display that lasted nearly a minute. The patterns shifted through multiple colors and intensities, creating what looked almost like a light-based symphony. "We were not doing anything specific when this occurred," Minju continued. "No feeding, no interaction, no external stimuli. The creature initiated this display on its own." She activated the translation protocol. The computer's synthesized voice began speaking hesitantly, parsing the complex patterns. Translation attempt: "I am far from singing waters. The light paths of my pod family are distant. Why do the hard-shelled ones keep me in the small space? I do not understand the purpose of isolation. I wish to return to the harmony of my people." The observation room fell completely silent. Even the background hum of the station's systems seemed muted. Everyone stared at the display screen where the alien creature continued its gentle light. "Patterns. It is talking about its family," Yuna whispered. "It wants to go home." Commander Park stepped forward, his expression troubled. "Are you certain of this translation?" "The grammar structures are consistent with known intelligent languages," Minju confirmed. The concepts expressed abstract ideas like longing, confusion, and social connection. No non-intelligent species has ever demonstrated this level of linguistic complexity. "There is more," Hyun-woo said quietly. He activated another recording, this one from their first communication session. "Tell them what this one means." The translation system analyzed the earlier light pattern. When the synthesized voice spoke, several crew members stepped backward. Translation: "Why do you hurt me? I only want to go home." The weight of that simple statement hit everyone in the room like a physical blow. For over a week, they had been holding what amounted to a sapient being in captivity, treating it as a dangerous specimen rather than an intelligent person. "We have made a terrible mistake," Dr. Taemin Choi said, his voice barely above a whisper. "This creature is not a biohazard. It is a person." Commander Park was quiet for a long moment, staring at the creature on the display screen. The alien being had moved closer to the observation window, its light patches glowing with what they now understood were patterns of hope and curiosity. "What do we do now?" Park asked. "We try to make this right," Hyun-woo replied. "We find out who this being is, where it came from, and how we can help it get back to its family." Minju was already working on expanding the translation protocols, trying to establish more complex communication. "If we can develop a proper dialogue system, we might be able to learn more about its species and their location." "And if we cannot send it home?" Yuna asked. Hyun-woo looked at the creature through the observation window. The alien being seemed to sense the increased attention and responded with a gentle pattern of blue and yellow lights. "Then at least we can treat it with the respect and dignity it deserves," he said. "No more containment protocols. No more treating it like a specimen. We make it comfortable and try to give it the best life possible until we figure out a better solution. As the night shift began, Minju remained in the observation room, working to improve her translation systems. For the first time since the creature's arrival, she felt hope rather than fear. They had made contact with an intelligent alien species, and despite the terrible circumstances, it was still one of the most important moments in galactic history. In its cell, the creature settled down on its fabric nest, its bioluminescent patches pulsing with what Minju now recognized as contentment. Tomorrow, they would begin the real work of establishing proper communication and learning about this remarkable being that had fallen into their hands. The galaxy had just become a much more interesting place. 3 days of careful communication had revealed more than anyone expected. The creature called itself something that Dr. Minju Seo's translation system rendered as gentle current singer. The name itself told them volumes about its species and culture. Hyun-woo sat in the observation room, speaking slowly and clearly toward the communication interface they had established. A series of lights and tones that allowed basic two-way conversation with their unexpected guest. "We want to understand," Hyun-woo said, watching the patterns of response from Gentle Current Singer. "Can you tell us about your people?" The creature's bioluminescent patches began a complex display. Minju's translation system worked to decode the patterns, producing text on the main screen. "We are the chorus. We swim the great dark between stars, following the songs of ancient currents. We harm no one. We take nothing that is not freely given. We sing to find our way home." Dr. Do-yeon Kim, the station's chief medical officer, leaned forward in his chair. He had been studying the creature's biology for days now, trying to understand its physical needs and capabilities. "Ask about the toxic emissions," he suggested. "I need to understand what triggers them." Hyun-woo nodded and spoke into the communicator. "Gentle Current Singer, can you explain the poison that your body makes?" The response came quickly, accompanied by light patterns that Minju's system identified as distress and shame. "Not poison. Fear scent. When small singers are frightened or alone, our bodies make the fear scent to call for help from the pod. The longer the fear, the stronger the scent. I could not stop it. I was so afraid." The medical implications hit Do-hyun immediately. "It is not a weapon," he said to the others. "It is a distress signal, like how some animals release pheromones when threatened." "And the acid secretions?" Dr. Yoona Kim asked from her position near the data analysis station. Hyun-woo relayed the question. Gentle Current Singer's response made everyone in the room feel uncomfortable. Salt water from grief. When chorus singers are separated from their pod for too long, the body releases grief water. It helps clean the fear scent from our skin. Your machines touched the grief water and were damaged. I did not mean to harm them. It has been crying. Yoona realized, her voice soft with horror. For over a week, this being has been crying, and we thought it was trying to attack us. Commander Ji-won Park had been quietly observing the communication session, but now he stepped forward. "Ask it how it came to be here. We need to understand what happened." The story that emerged was both simple and heartbreaking. Gentle Current Singer had been traveling with its family pod through space when they encountered a massive stellar storm. The young being had been separated from the others and pulled into an emergency sleep state by the cosmic radiation. "I woke up in your metal cave," the translation system rendered. "My pod family was gone. The song currents were strange. I did not know where I was or how to find my way back to the harmony." "How many others were in your pod?" Hyun-woo asked gently. 7 swimmers, 2 elders who carry the deep songs, 3 adults who navigate the currents, and 2 young singers, like myself. We had been traveling for many cycles, seeking new harmonies in the outer reaches. Dr. Taemin Choi was taking detailed notes on every aspect of the conversation. As the station's psychologist, he was fascinated by the creature's emotional responses and social structure. The species appears to be highly social, he noted. Separation from the group causes severe psychological distress, which manifests in physical symptoms. That explains the behavioral changes, Yuna added. When Hyunwoo started providing social interaction and comfort items, he was treating the underlying cause of the creature's distress. Do-hyun was reviewing his medical scans with new understanding. The aggressive tentacle movements we observed were not attacks. Look at this! He projected anatomical diagrams onto the main screen. These appendages are incredibly delicate. They are designed for fine manipulation and sensory input, not combat. The tentacles in question were currently wrapped around the soft fabric materials Hyunwoo had provided, holding them close to the creature's body in what was obviously a comfort gesture. And the multiple sensory organs, Do-hyun continued, they are arranged for maximum social awareness. This species evolved to live in close physical and emotional contact with others. Isolation would be torture for them. Commander Park looked troubled. We need to contact the Altarian Science Council immediately. They are planning to transfer Gentle Current Singer to a military research facility tomorrow. We cannot let that happen, Hyunwoo said firmly. This being has suffered enough. It needs to be reunited with its family, not studied as a weapon. How do we even begin to find them? Park asked. Space is vast and we have no idea which direction they went. Minju had been working on expanding their communication capabilities, and she looked up from her translation console with excitement. We might not have to find them. Ask Gentle Current Singer about the pod's search patterns. Hyunwoo posed the question, and the creature's response sent a wave of hope through the room. They will be looking for me. The chorus never abandons. A pod member. They follow the song currents in spiral patterns, growing wider with each cycle. If I have been missing for this many days, they will be searching in a pattern that covers many star systems. Long-range sensors, Yuna said suddenly. We need to check the long-range sensors for anything unusual. While she ran to the sensor control station, Do-hyun continued his conversation with Gentle Current Singer about its physical needs and capabilities. What he learned changed everything they thought they knew about the creature. The fear scent is gone now, the being explained, through its light patterns. When the kind voice friend began treating me as a person instead of a thing, my body stopped making the distress chemicals. The grief water also stopped when I no longer felt abandoned. You feel safe now? Hyunwoo asked. Yes, confused about this place and worried about my pod family, but no longer afraid. The kind voice friend helped me understand that not all solid body beings wish to cause harm. Dr. Sunho Lee had been analyzing the creature's behavioral patterns throughout the conversation. Commander, we need to reconsider everything. This being shows no signs of aggression or deception. Its responses are consistent with a highly intelligent, emotionally complex species. I am starting to realize that, Park replied grimly. The question is what we do about it. Yuna's voice came over the communication system from the sensor control room. Commander, you need to see this. I am detecting 7 large objects on the edge of our sensor range. They are moving in a search pattern. Everyone in the observation room turned to look at Gentle Current Singer, whose bioluminescent patches had suddenly blazed with brilliant colors. My pod family, the translation system announced. They have found my song trail. They come to bring me home. The excitement in the creature's light display was unmistakable, but Commander Park felt his stomach sink. 7 unknown alien vessels, approaching their station, looking for the being they had been holding captive for over a week. How big are these objects? He asked Yuna over the communicator. Each one is approximately the size of a small moon, sir. And Commander, they are not ships in any conventional sense. They appear to be biological constructs, living vessels. Through the observation window, Gentle Current Singer was creating the most complex light display they had yet seen. Patterns of joy, relief, and anticipation flowed across its body in waves. They sing the approach harmony. the creature explained. They know I am here. They know I am safe. The pod family comes to take me back to the Great Currents. Hyun-woo looked at Commander Park with concern. Sir, we need to make contact with them. We need to explain what happened and make sure they understand we are not hostile. With 7 moon-sized alien vessels? Park asked. What if they decide we kidnapped their family member? Then we tell them the truth, Hyun-woo replied. We made a mistake, but we are trying to make it right, and we have Gentle Current Singer to speak for us. As if understanding the conversation, the creature began another light display. I will sing to them of the kind voice friend and the learning ones, who helped me find peace in the metal cave. The chorus does not seek revenge, only reunion. Commander Park made his decision. All stations, prepare for first contact protocols. And somebody get me a direct communication link to those vessels. It is time to return Gentle Current Singer to its family. In its containment cell, the creature continued its joyful light song, finally free from fear and ready to go home. The 7 bioships hung in space like ancient whales floating in a cosmic ocean. Each vessel pulsed with the same bioluminescent patterns that Dr. Minju Seo had learned to recognize as the language of the chorus. Through the station's main viewing portal, Commander Ji-won Park could see their massive forms slowly rotating in a complex dance pattern. They are beautiful, Dr. Yoona Kim whispered from her position at the sensor station. The energy readings are unlike anything in our databases. The ships appear to be living organisms, but with technological components integrated into their biological structure. Hyun-woo stood near the communication console, maintaining his dialogue with Gentle Current Singer. The young alien's excitement was infectious, its light patterns blazing with colors they had never seen before. My pod family sings the joy harmony, Gentle Current Singer explained through the translation system. They are pleased that I am unharmed. They wish to speak with the kind voice friend and the learning ones who cared for me. Can you help us communicate with them? Hyun-woo asked. Yes. I will be the bridge voice between your sound words and their light songs. But first I must warn you. The eldest of our pod, Deep Echo Harmony, carries the memories of many encounters with solid body beings. Not all were pleasant. Commander Park felt his anxiety increase. What kind of encounters? The response came with light patterns that the translation system identified as sadness and disappointment. Some solid body beings feared us and tried to destroy our ships. Others sought to capture us for study or to steal our biotechnologies. A few tried to use our young ones as weapons. The chorus learned to be cautious. Dr. Taemin Choi, who had been monitoring the psychological aspects of the first contact situation, stepped forward. Gentle Current Singer, can you explain to your family that our actions were based on misunderstanding, not malice? I have already begun the explanation song, the creature replied. I tell them of the fear scent that made me seem dangerous, and how the kind voice friend saw past the fear to find the person underneath. Deep Echo Harmony is curious about beings who can recognize suffering across species barriers. The main communication console chimed, indicating an incoming transmission. Dr. Minju Seo worked quickly to adapt her translation protocols for ship-to-ship communication. This is Commander Ji-won Park of Research Station Kepler 442b, Park said into the transmitter. We wish to speak with the leadership of your vessels. The response came as a complex light pattern transmitted directly from the largest bioship. Minju's systems worked frantically to decode the sophisticated message. Deep Echo Harmony acknowledges the voice of the station keeper. The young singer has told us of your care during the fear time. We come not in anger, but in gratitude. However, we must verify the well-being of our pod member before we can trust fully. Of course, Park replied. How would you like to proceed? Send the kind voice friend to us. Let Deep Echo Harmony see through your eyes and speak with your voice. If the young singer is truly safe and unharmed, we will discuss the next steps. Everyone in the observation room turned to look at Hyun-woo, who had gone pale. The idea of boarding an alien vessel was both terrifying and exciting. "Sir," Hyun-woo said to Commander Park, "I volunteer to go." "Absolutely not," Park replied immediately. "We cannot risk sending a crew member into an unknown situation." "With respect, Commander," Hyun-woo continued, "I am the only one here who Gentle Current Singer trusts completely. And according to what it told us, I might be the first human its people have ever encountered who showed them genuine kindness. This could be the most important diplomatic moment in galactic history." Dr. Do-Yun Kim had been reviewing the bioship scans and looked up with interest. The atmospheric readings from their vessels show an environment compatible with human life. Enhanced oxygen content, but within acceptable parameters. "The risk is still enormous," Yuna pointed out. "We know almost nothing about their technology or intentions." Gentle Current Singer's light patterns drew everyone's attention back to the communication console. Deep Echo Harmony offers guarantee words. The kind voice friend will be protected and honored as a pod guest. No harm will come to them while they swim in our bioships. Hyun-woo looked around the room at the gathered scientists and officers. "This is why humans are part of galactic civilization, right? To bridge gaps between species that others cannot cross. Let me do what I am apparently good at." After a brief consultation with the senior staff, Commander Park made his decision. "Very well. But you go with a full communication suite and emergency beacon, and you take Dr. SEO with you to help with translation." "I appreciate the offer," Minju said, "but I think Gentle Current Singer should come with us. It knows both languages perfectly and can serve as our translator." "Take the young singer out of containment?" Park asked with concern. "Commander," Dr. Taemin Choi interjected, "we have established that Gentle Current Singer poses no threat. Its toxic emissions have stopped completely and its behavior has been consistently peaceful. If anything, keeping it in containment while its family is here might be seen as continued hostility." 2 hours later, Hyun-woo found himself in the station's shuttle bay, wearing a modified environmental suit and carrying a basic translation device. Beside him, Gentle Current Singer had been fitted with a mobility harness that allowed it to move safely in the shuttle's atmosphere. The alien being's excitement was obvious in its constantly shifting light patterns. "I have not swum in open space for many cycles," it explained. "To be with my pod family again will restore the harmony in my song currents." As their shuttle approached the largest bioship, Hyun-woo was amazed by the details he could now see. The vessel's surface was covered in what looked like scales, each one pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Organic ports and openings appeared and closed like flowers, revealing the ship's living nature. "How do we dock with something like this?" Hyun-woo asked their pilot, Dr. Sunho Lee. "We do not," Sunho replied, pointing ahead. "Look." A section of the bioship's hull was opening like a mouth, revealing a chamber filled with the same atmospheric mixture their shuttle contained. Gentle tendrils extended from the ship's interior, gently guiding their small craft inside. The docking process was unlike anything in standard space travel protocols. Instead of mechanical clamps and pressure seals, the bioship simply grew around their shuttle, creating a perfect environmental seal using living tissue. "Remarkable," Sunho whispered. "The ship is adapting its internal structure to accommodate our vessel." Gentle Current Singer was creating rapid light displays, clearly communicating with the ship itself. "The biovessel welcomes us. Deep Echo Harmony waits in the Harmony Chamber. We may leave our metal shell and swim freely in the ship body." The inner airlock opened, revealing a corridor that looked more like the inside of a giant organism than a spaceship. Bioluminescent strips provided gentle lighting, and the walls pulsed with what appeared to be a circulatory system. "This is incredible," Hyun-woo said as they walked deeper into the bioship. "The entire vessel is alive." "Not just alive," Gentle Current Singer corrected. "The bioships are family members. They choose to carry us through the great currents, and we care for them in return. It is partnership, not ownership." They entered a large chamber filled with soft, flowing surfaces and gentle light. At the center waited the most magnificent being Hyun-woo had ever seen. Deep Echo Harmony was 3 times the size of Gentle Current Singer, its body covered in intricate patterns that seemed to tell stories in light. Ancient scars marked its tentacles, and its eyes held a wisdom that spoke of centuries of experience. So, Deep Echo Harmony's patterns were translated by Gentle Current Singer. You are the kind voice friend who saw past fear to find the person beneath. Hyun-woo stepped forward, fighting his nervousness. I just treated Gentle Current Singer the way I would want to be treated if I was lost and scared. The ancient being's light patterns shifted to what Gentle Current Singer identified as amazement. Simple words, but profound truth, Deep Echo Harmony responded. In all our cycles of travel, we have rarely encountered solid body beings capable of such empathy across species barriers. Your people may be unique in the galaxy. We are not perfect, Hyun-woo replied honestly. We make mistakes, sometimes terrible ones, but we try to learn from them. As do all wise beings, Deep Echo Harmony acknowledged. The young singer tells us that your station companions realize their error and work to make amends. This speaks well of your species. The conversation continued for several hours, with Deep Echo Harmony learning about human nature and galactic civilization while sharing stories of the chorus and their ancient travels through the cosmos. Finally, the elder, being made an offer that would change everything. The chorus has knowledge of many civilizations, gathered over thousands of cycles. We have observed species rise and fall, seen the patterns of growth and decline. Your humans possess something rare and valuable. Would you be willing to serve as bridge voices between the chorus and the other solid-body civilizations? Hyun-woo felt the weight of the moment. I would be honored, but I am just a maintenance worker. I am not qualified for diplomatic missions. You are qualified by your actions, Deep Echo Harmony replied. You saw a person where others saw a monster. You offered comfort where others offered fear. These are the qualities the galaxy needs. As their meeting concluded and they prepared to return to the station, Gentle Current Singer created one final light display. Thank you, kind voice friend, for helping me find peace in the dark time. The chorus will remember. The young alien would return home with its family, but the connection between humans and the chorus had only just begun. 6 months later, Research Station Kepler 442b had become the most important diplomatic outpost in the galaxy. The observation room that once held a frightened alien prisoner now served as a cultural exchange center where representatives from dozens of species came to learn about human empathy and cross-species communication. Dr. Taemin Choi stood before a mixed audience of Altarian scientists, Zentari diplomats, and Corvan military officers, delivering his final report on the Gentle Current Singer incident. The findings had already begun to reshape how the galactic community approached first contact situations. The human ability to recognize emotional distress across species barriers is not just unique, Taemin explained to his audience. It appears to be a crucial missing element in our approach to interspecies relations. Commander Ji-won Park watched from the back of the room as the various alien representatives took notes and asked questions. The past months had been challenging, with constant visits from Galactic Council members, research teams, and diplomatic missions. But they had also been the most rewarding of his career. Dr. Choi, one of the Altarian scientists, asked, how do we incorporate this human perspective into our existing first contact protocols? That is the remarkable part, Taemin replied. We do not need complex training programs or expensive equipment. We simply need to include humans in our contact teams and listen to their intuitive responses to new species. In the corner of the room, Hyun-woo worked quietly on a new piece of equipment. The chorus had shared some of their biotechnology, and he was helping to integrate it with the station's environmental systems. The work was fascinating, but he still preferred his simple role as a maintenance worker. The Gentle Current Singer case study has been distributed to every research station and diplomatic vessel in the galaxy, Park announced to the group. Early reports suggest that human involvement in first contact situations has already prevented 3 potential conflicts and established peaceful relations with 2 previously unknown species. Dr. Yuna Kim activated the main display screen, showing recent footage from various diplomatic missions. In each case, human team members had been able to identify emotional or social needs that other species had missed. The pattern is consistent, Yuna explained. Humans appear to have an instinctive understanding of fear, loneliness, curiosity, and other universal emotions. This allows them to see past surface appearances and recognize the underlying psychological needs of alien beings. What about species that do not experience emotions the way we understand them? Asked a Zentari diplomat. We encountered that situation just last week, Dr. Minju Seo replied from her position at the translation console. The crystalline beings from the Vega cluster communicate through harmonic resonance patterns. They do not have emotions, but they do have harmonic preferences and aversions. The human team member was able to recognize these preferences and establish communication based on musical compatibility. The meeting continued for another hour, with various specialists sharing their findings and recommendations. But the most important presentation came at the end when they received a transmission from Deep Echo Harmony. The ancient chorus elder appeared on the main screen, its magnificent light patterns translated for the mixed audience. The chorus has completed our first circuit of galactic civilization with human guide voices, Deep Echo Harmony announced. We have made peaceful contact with 17 species that previously feared us. We have shared knowledge and received new harmonies in return. The galaxy sings more beautifully now. The transmission continued with footage from various worlds where the chorus had visited. On each planet, human diplomats had helped to bridge the gap between the peaceful aliens and local populations who might have otherwise reacted with fear or aggression. Most importantly, Deep Echo Harmony continued, we have learned that loneliness and fear are universal experiences. The humans taught us that empathy and kindness can cross any species barrier. After the transmission ended, the formal meeting broke up into smaller discussion groups. Representatives from different species clustered around human team members, eager to learn more about empathetic communication techniques. Hyun Woo finished his work on the biotechnology integration and prepared to leave for his next shift. As he walked toward the door, Dr. Do-Yun Kim caught up with him. You know, there is a permanent position available with the Galactic Diplomatic Corps, Do-Yun said. Full ambassador status, extensive travel opportunities, chance to make first contact with new species. Hyun Woo smiled and shook his head. Thanks, but I like fixing things. And from what I can see, there are still plenty of broken systems on this station that need attention. You fixed more than just systems, Commander Park said, joining their conversation. You fixed our entire approach to alien contact. I just treated a scared kid the way anyone should be treated, Hyun Woo replied. The rest of you figured out the important stuff. As the evening shift began, most of the diplomatic visitors returned to their quarters or ships. But in the observation room, now converted to a comfortable meeting space, a small group remained. Dr. Yuna Kim was showing the latest bioship designs to Dr. Sun-Ho Lee, while Dr. Taemin Choi worked on his psychological profiles of recently contacted species. The main display screen still showed the space around their station, but now it looked very different. 3 Chorus bioships maintained a permanent station nearby, serving as a bridge between their people and the wider galactic community. Smaller vessels from various species came and went regularly, carrying diplomats, scientists, and cultural exchange participants. It is hard to believe how much has changed, Yuna said, watching a Corvin research vessel dock with one of the bioships. 6 months ago, we were terrified of a single alien creature. Now we are the center of galactic diplomacy. The change was not in the galaxy, Taemin observed. The change was in how we see it. Humans have always had this capacity for empathy. We just never realized how valuable it was. Dr. Minju Seo looked up from her translation work, where she was developing new communication protocols based on emotional recognition patterns. I received a message from Gentle Current Singer today. It wanted to thank the station crew again. How is it doing? Sunho asked with genuine interest. Very well. It has rejoined its pod family and is learning the deep songs from the elders. But it also asked something interesting. It wants to know if human younglings would be interested in learning chorus light language as a cultural exchange. The idea was both exciting and touching. The young alien that had once been seen as a dangerous specimen now wanted to share its culture with human children. There is something else, Minju continued. The Galactic Council has officially changed its first contact protocols. Every contact team must now include at least one human member, and empathetic assessment is a required part of the initial evaluation process. Commander Park entered the observation room, carrying a data pad with the latest reports from across the galaxy. The results speak for themselves, he announced. Peaceful first contacts are up 400% since the new protocols were implemented. Species that had been hostile for decades are opening diplomatic channels. And it all started because one human looked at a terrifying alien and saw a scared animal that needed help. Through the large viewing windows, they could see the lights of the bioships pulsing in gentle patterns. The chorus maintained their presence not as guards or observers, but as friends and partners in the growing galactic community. You know what the best part is? Hyun-woo said, finally joining the group after completing his shift. We did not change who we are. We just learned that being human is actually pretty useful. More than useful, Park corrected. Essential. The galaxy had been waiting for someone who could see past fear and appearance to find the common ground between species. It just took us a while to realize we had that ability. As the station settled into its night cycle, the mixed group of scientists and diplomats continued their work. Outside, the bioships sang their gentle harmonies, and ships from across the galaxy came and went in peaceful exchange. In his quarters, Hyun-woo kept a small gift from Gentle Current Singer on his desk. It was a bioluminescent flower that bloomed in response to kindness, serving as a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous-looking beings just need someone to see past their differences and offer friendship. The flower glowed softly in the darkness, pulsing with the same gentle rhythm as the chorus ships outside. It was a symbol of the new galaxy they were all building together, one act of empathy at a time. The maintenance logs for that day showed routine repairs and standard system checks, but they did not mention the most important maintenance of all. The repair of the barriers between species, fixed not with tools or technology, but with the simple human ability to recognize suffering and respond with compassion. 6 months earlier, they had labeled an alien being a biohazard. A human had thought it was just a stray that needed help. That difference in perspective had changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly how it should be.